Hello, and welcome back to this generative AI tutorial. This is part 4 of a 4-part series. In this video, we'll be exploring Microsoft's Copilot, which is the approved tool for use here at Seneca. In this video, we'll be covering what is Copilot, how it works, how to access it as a Seneca student or faculty member, and some unique features along the way. So let's dive in and explore. Copilot is Microsoft's generative AI tool. You may or may not have heard of it. It's definitely becoming more and more popular, but I think ChatGPT is still the one that comes to mind for most people. But if you haven't experienced Copilot or haven't really heard about Copilot, the logo that you see on screen right here is the Copilot logo, and you're going to start to maybe notice it more and more now that you've seen it. It's becoming very integrated into a lot of Microsoft products. You'll see it in several places on Microsoft Edge, which I will demo in just a couple minutes, but it's also integrated into a lot of Microsoft apps, such as Microsoft Word. But let's learn a little bit more about Microsoft Copilot. So Copilot was introduced in February 2023, but it was a couple of things before that. It was Cortana, it was Bing Chat, so there's been a lot of growth and progression for this generative AI tool. Interestingly though, Microsoft is a heavy investor of OpenAI, which created ChatGPT. So the foundational GPT between ChatGPT and Copilot is actually not that different, same with the large language module. The main differences come with how Copilot was designed, implemented, but specifically around guardrails. Copilot offers a lot more privacy features and a lot more copyright considerations than ChatGPT does. When you log into the Seneca provided Copilot space, you are accessing Copilot in an encrypted area, which means you have a lot more privacy, and your prompts are not being used in large language module training. But we'll kind of focus in on some of the differences and some of the unique features that Copilot offers in the live demo. But there are 3 main ways to access Microsoft's Copilot. It is embedded in Microsoft Edge, it is available as a website at copilot.microsoft.com, and thirdly, it's available as an app that you can download onto your mobile devices or any device that supports application downloading. If you are a Mac user, for example, you can download the Copilot app on your MacBook Air, your iMac, and it typically works better than accessing copilot.microsoft.com on Safari. Although copilot.microsoft.com works very well on most browsers, some Mac users have reported issues with using Copilot on Safari. So if that happens to you, maybe consider downloading the app instead. So I will be showcasing how to log into Copilot on Microsoft Edge, as well as a website on Google Chrome. So let's dive in. The first way I would like to demo of how you can access Microsoft's Copilot is utilizing Microsoft Edge, which is the browser that Microsoft provides. It is the successor to Internet Explorer. So I have pulled up a home page on Microsoft Edge. It is bing.com right now, and you might already be noticing some Copilot logos. You'll see it right over here. And you might even see it up here with the Copilot icon with search. And lastly, it's also available in the top right-hand corner over here. So there's many ways to access Copilot when you're utilizing Microsoft Edge, and I'll showcase a couple here and there, but I am going to focus a little bit more on the icon in the top right because I think there's some really unique features there that I think are worth exploring. But let's first start off by doing a simple search in Bing. So here I can just do a search. I'm going to search for red wine and cardiovascular health because there are some research to suggest that red wine can actually be beneficial for cardiovascular health. So maybe I want to learn a little bit more. So if I click on this, I'm in a Microsoft Bing search page, and you'll see again I have the Copilot search here, and I also have the Copilot button here. If I click on this, it will provide a summary of some of the information that it retrieved through Bing based on the query that I provided, which was red wine and cardiovascular health. So you'll see it's providing some information, and I can see where it's pulled its information from: Mayo Clinic, Harvard Health, and heart.org. So this is a really great option just to maybe see a quick summary of some of the information that's available. Right now, I'm still using the free version because I haven't signed into the Seneca account. We'll do that in just a couple seconds. But if I go back to my search results, I can also click the icon here for Copilot search. And here, it's just doing something similar, but it's also just providing it in a different way where I can see all the links that it provided to, and I have some extra resources here, and I can ask a follow-up question down here, and I can also see some images and videos, and I can also see reasoning. So this see reasoning option is just explaining how Copilot went about this. It searched some information, it found some sources, and it summarized the results. So as you notice with Microsoft Edge and Bing, it's kind of integrated in many different spaces. But I could have also done this query over here in the sidebar menu. If I click over here, I get Copilot as a sidebar as I'm navigating the internet. And there's really some cool features that have when you pull up Copilot as a sidebar in Microsoft Edge. So in a different kind of way, but it's very similar, I can go to Copilot and say, acting as a medical professional, what are some health benefits of drinking red wine? So this is just another way of interacting with Copilot, very similar to the other ones that I showcased. It provided an answer, it's giving me some great detail, it's providing me with some references that I can explore on my own time. Down here, I could have said that I wanted to think deeper before responding, so take its time, and really focus in on some good quality results. So you have some really interesting features already embedded everywhere when you're utilizing Microsoft Edge and trying to access Copilot. But not only is the free version very accessible in Microsoft Edge, but we can actually log in as Seneca users. If you are a Seneca student, you'll be logging in with your Seneca email, which will be at myseneca.ca. If you are a Seneca faculty member or staff member, you'll be signing in with your email that ends with @senecapolytechnic.ca. So if I was wanting to access the Seneca space on the sidebar of Copilot, I can go click here and try to upload something, and it says sign in for the full experience because that's a paid feature. But I can log in using my Seneca Polytechnic email. Now I've logged in before, so it remembered my email, but if this is your first time, you would have to add your account, enter your password, and probably do a dual-step authentication. But once you do all that, you'll have access to Copilot in the more paid version where we can now upload features, and I'll showcase some other features, but you'll see we're using an enterprise data protection environment, that encrypted space that I mentioned before. So this is how you can log into Copilot as a side menu, but I can also log in through Copilot here, and you'll see I'm still in the free version here, but I can go and sign in, continue with Microsoft. It remembers my account, but again, if this is your first time, you can add your account and do your password and dual-step authentication. And when you get there, you can click on the workspace, which is the Seneca Enterprise Data Protection space. And if I click on that, I can access Copilot here. Now, the Copilot we're seeing here is the website, so that's copilot.microsoft.com. So I'm going to spend more time on this when I'm demoing this in Google Chrome. I want to go back to some of the features that are unique to Microsoft Edge. So now that I'm logged in to Microsoft Edge as a sidebar menu here, I can ask it a question just like I did, where it provided some information about red wine and cardiovascular health. But one of the features that I really like about having the sidebar pulled up is that I can explore some resources on my own. So if I was looking, here's a good article from PubMed about red wine consumption and cardiovascular health. This might be something that I want to read. I can view it on the publisher's website. And this is an open access journal, so it's just freely available for me to read. And I can even download it. I don't need to sign in or anything. But now that I have this pulled up, I can go over here to Copilot and I can say, create a summary. So summarize the main points on this page. So if I click on that and click enter, it will look at the page that I have pulled up, and it won't use its training or sources from the internet. It will focus in on the page that I have to provide this answer. So instead of it going onto some websites that may or may not be trustworthy, It's pulling from this article that is a trusted source of medical information. Because it's in PubMed, we can understand that it has some vetting process, some peer review. In a lot of the other parts of the generative AI tutorial, I talked about the importance of fact checking. By utilizing this side feature and good resources that we found ourselves, we're basically doing the fact checking first. I know this is a good source of information. Now I'm just using Copilot to help summarize. And you'll notice it says Copilot is using the page content to answer, where it's looking at my page and providing a summary here. So I used their pre-built one, but you could do your own different one. So if I could say using the page open as your information source, is red wine good for your cardiovascular health? Again, very similar. It's going to using the page that's open, but you have to provide, if you're using your own prompt, you have to provide the direction, because it won't default to your page open. You have to say something along the lines of like using the page open as your information source. And you can see it's answered yes, according to the information on the page, moderate wine consumption can be beneficial for cardiovascular health. Here are some main points. So then, this is a helpful research tool. So it can be very interesting to utilize Copilot on Microsoft Edge because it's embedded in many different places, and you can use this really helpful sidebar menu. So I really recommend exploring all the ways that you can use it on Microsoft Edge. But I will cover some of the features for Copilot as a website at copilot.microsoft.com, but I'm going to showcase that in Google Chrome. So to find it, you could just do a simple Google search for Copilot, and it's usually the first one that appears. Or you could do copilot.microsoft.com. Either or, you'll get to this page, and again, you'll be accessing the free version off the top. You can see that we have the quick response just like in Microsoft Edge, or a think deeper option. We can also try to upload, but it will say sign in for the full experience. So we can sign in, continue with Microsoft, but there's also the sign in option in the top right hand corner. So if I click on that, I'm going to sign in, and I'm going to continue with Microsoft. And again, if you are a Seneca student, you'd use your @mySeneca email. If you're a Seneca faculty or staff, you would use @mySeneca. Enter your email, enter your password, and typically do a dual-step authentication. And then it usually remembers you. Sometimes you do have to do that password and dual-step authentication again if you haven't logged in a certain time. So I can click on mine here, and then I can access that work environment that is provided by Seneca, which has data protection in that encryption area. So I can click on work, and now I'll be accessing Copilot as a website. Yes, typically you do have to sometimes do a two-step authentication, but once you're past that, you should have access to the Seneca provided Copilot space. So there's a couple things I want to showcase in this environment. I could start just prompting right away, but I could also upload some files. I could upload from this device or attach from cloud files. And you'll also notice that it says chat with an agent. What they mean by agent here is that you can actually explore some AI tools that you can bring into your Copilot space. So for example, they have a GPT down here called Slides GPT, and you can add this into your Copilot space and then communicate with this specific GPT that was trained differently than the larger GPT that Copilot uses. You'll also notice there's some non-AI tools in here. So maybe you're somebody who uses Trello to manage your work and you want to bring that in here as well. You can do that. So I encourage you to kind of explore the agents. And if you're feeling really AI centric and really techy, you can even create your own. Microsoft has a Copilot Studio where you can actually kind of create your own AI agents that you can communicate with. So these are maybe facets of Copilot that are trained a little bit more specifically, and you get to kind of dictate what they are offering. So you can see they have some of the templates that you can explore, like a career coach or an idea coach, or you can just describe what you're looking for, or you can kind of configure your own new agent by utilizing a template or just by providing instructions. Again, this might be a little bit more than you need, but it is a very interesting thing to explore should you be interested in. But let's go back to the chat feature. This is not only just a text generator, it is also an image generator as well. And if you look down here, you can explore some of their ideas for prompts, and you can also check out their prompt gallery. So there's lots of ways to kind of explore. You can save your own prompts if you're using something that's very repetitive. You can save that prompt and use it for later. But you can also just explore maybe some jokes for class, create lesson units, write it faster. Very interesting things to explore. And you can see tasks, create, prepare, ask, catch up, learn, or if you're a faculty or a student. It's very interesting to explore some of those options there. But I'm just going to continue with my example. I can now type here, acting as a medical professional, are there health benefits to drinking red wine? Again, very similar to the ones I just did in Microsoft Edge, but we can see what the latest research says, some important considerations, and you can see the resources used. Studyfinds.org, newsmedical.net. Not typically the best sources of information, so maybe we need to provide more direction and ask Copilot to be a little bit more specific. But nonetheless, it gave us an answer that we can play around and work with. One of the things that I really like about Copilot is this Pages feature. So if you look down here, you can see an option that says Edit in Pages. So typically when we interact with AI, we interact with a chat back and forth. But Copilot produced all this information to me. Maybe I want to edit it, play around with it, add my own thoughts. Maybe I see an AI hallucination that I want to fix up. I can edit it in Pages. And if I click on that, click Edit in Pages, it pulls up almost a Word document beside me. And I can start going in here and editing. I think, oh, that's incorrect, or I want to start writing my own content. And you'll notice down here, I can also insert a table, checklist, bullet point list, date, call out code, graphs, different text styles, a collapsible header, code, voting table, progress tracker. There's so many interesting ways that we can just start adding in things, and we can start almost co-creating with Microsoft's Copilot. And you'll notice down here at the bottom, it's also bringing over the references that it used. So I can see down here the 2 references. And now that I have this page open, I can go back to Copilot and say, what are some negative health aspects to drinking red wine? So if I wanted a different perspective on the similar question. So it gives me some inserts here about cancer risk, cognitive health, cardiovascular concerns, liver damage, and other health risks. So if I'm interested in that kind of different perspective, again, maybe not the best sources of information, but I can also click on Edit in Pages. I can add to a pre-existing page, create a new page, or add to a recent page. So if I click add to a recent page, I can click here, and now it brings over the second prompt. We can see prompt here, and it brings over the opposing viewpoint and also brought over those references. So now basically I'm co-creating. I can keep editing, I can keep adding, I can go back to Copilot, bring some more content in, and really start kind of crafting the space. So it's a very interesting way of kind of co-creating with AI. And as a last example, I could then say, generate an image of a glass of red wine. Now, I've been doing simple prompts for this Copilot demo just for time and ease, but remember back to that prompting section, we want to be really much more elaborate than what I've been doing. We want to provide a lot more direction, a lot more context, a lot more control, and for image prompting, I have to provide much more than that. I need to talk about color scheme, placement, scenario, imagery, all that great stuff. So you'll even see that it generated a basic image of a glass of red wine. And if I click on it, it really elaborated on my simple prompt. It said a realistic digital painting of a glass of red wine on a wooden table with soft lighting and a blurred vineyard background, etc. So we want to see a lot more detail in our prompting, but I was just doing simple prompts. But I can then also add this to a page. So you can see it added it straight to this page that I have open. So maybe I want to start bringing in some media. So it can be a really interesting way to co-create. You can access it right in the chat feature, but you can also access it from the sidebar. They have an option for chats and pages. So this is where you can access all your pages if you don't want to do it just only in the chat. So multiple access points. And then maybe you wanted to move this over into Microsoft Word and start editing it there. You do have that option to export it, share it, open in Word, share it, lots of different ways to interact with it. So this is a really quick tutorial of Microsoft's Copilot website version on Google Chrome. And I think there's a lot of really interesting things that you can explore and create by utilizing Microsoft's Copilot, whether you're in Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, Firefox, or Safari. If you want to have a more in-detail tutorial on Copilot, I recommend that you reach out to the Seneca Sandbox. Thank you. As always, these are a couple of resources that you can explore on your own time for some deeper learning about Copilot. This first video is very much an introduction to Copilot and its capabilities in integration with Microsoft products, whereas the second video provided is a much more in-depth tutorial that you can explore on your own time for some deeper learning all about Microsoft Copilot. Thank you so much for attending this 4-part tutorial on generative AI. My name has been Michael Myers, and it's been a pleasure to walk you through generative AI. Please feel free to reach out to myself or the Sandbox should you have any questions about this tutorial, digital media, or generally speaking, the Seneca Sandbox. Thank you so much.